Discord.
Yeah, Discord has like some good audio, like audio software or what I don't know, whatever you want to call it that actually like
Or
it gets rid of like noise and all that shit. So
good.
it's
Yeah,
all
you
good,
sound
man.
pretty freaking clear. You're nice and clear too.
Yeah, well, I had to go through a lot to do that. So like right now, I record in my closet,
Uh huh.
and then had to buy a good mic, and I bought a mixer. So I have a computer, but the room that the computer is in, like
Yeah.
it's an office with like wood floor and nothing around it. So it's super echoey.
Oh, it's like echoey. That's fucking annoying.
Yeah. So and I'm not very like I'm not good with all the technical shit. So I don't know how to
Word.
get rid of the echo in the edit.
Uh huh.
So I got a
Yeah.
big
No, and I know it sounds like you're kind of a family man too. So you probably got, I don't know if you got kids running around or what.
yeah. Usually I record when they're not here. But I do have two dogs, and sometimes they could be a little pain in the ass. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
got the two little dogs over right now, but I took them on a walk earlier. They should
it
be
should be
good. I
good.
closed the door. I'm like, you guys fuck off for a while.
Yeah, got it. How? What kind of dogs do you have?
We've got I mean, she's not here anymore, but
Yeah.
I got the Chihuahua and a Yorkie, so they're a couple of little kick dogs.
Ah, dude, a Chihuahua. Those are the fucking worst, man.
Yeah, I know. She's not a normal Chihuahua though. She's
Okay.
thick.
She's big.
She's I mean, for a Chihuahua,
Okay.
she's big. She's thick.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the smaller the dog, like the more annoying it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they.
she's not real yippy, but
Okay.
the Yorkie is more like just up my ass, like follows me around the house and
Yeah.
everything. So sometimes I'm just like, "Will you just leave me the fuck alone?"
Yeah. Is she the younger one? Like, did you get her after?
They're ru- they're roughly the same age, but the Chihuahua's a little bit older. But we
Okay.
got the Yorkie because the Chihuahua was pretty depressed by herself, so she
Gotcha.
needed a sister.
Okay, so yeah, so the Yorkie's the second dog, and I think that the
Yeah,
second dog is always the one that's very needy. Because we had
it
one
does.
dog, and then we got another one, and she's a puppy, but she's so very needy.
Uh
So
huh.
yeah,
That does make a lot of sense.
yeah, maybe like the whole second child kind of thing. So
Word.
I guess I'm the oldest, so I don't really know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm the middle. I'm the middle child. I got a couple of sisters. I got a crazy older one and a more normal younger sister. But yeah, I'm the normal
the normal.
kind of. Anyways.
So you're the middle child,
Yep.
the only dude.
Yeah. Only dude. I had a
Okay.
stepbrother back in the day, but you know, moms gets divorced and families split up and all that shit
Yeah.
happens. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I am recording right now, so
Oh, word.
I figured I would just start recording and then,
Yeah,
because,
that's totally fine.
yeah, to me, I feel like, we, you never know what kind of gems you get, but,
Oh yeah, of course.
also, I'm gonna, this is your show, dude, so I'll let you run things. I am recording on my end, so if there is a problem
Okay.
with your recording on your end, then I could send you the recording.
Yeah, I was
Um,
kind of just banking on because you know how to do the Discord recording and stuff. So I was like, I'll just bank on that because I don't know how the fuck to do it with my because I got this Studio One software and it's really nice,
yeah,
but I only know how to use like point 0.5 of everything on it.
yeah, yeah.
Pardon me.
It's difficult because you have to set up. I mean, like you have to set up things in Windows to be able to go ahead and
Uh-huh.
figure out how uh to record everything properly. Like I was doing Discord and I had OBS, which is basically like that's what they use for like Twitch. So
Uh-huh.
you can record video on that. But
Yeah.
I was um I was trying to record Discord and use that, and then somehow there was an update and it fucked everything up. And
Word.
yeah, so I was like, dude, I'm like, that's it. I'm buying a mixer. So I just
Yeah.
put the mixer on the credit card, and and it's great,
Yeah,
man.
sometimes you gotta just freaking get the upgrades
Yeah.
now and figure the rest of it out later. Just find it in the budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, because this is a hobby, and there's no
Right.
money being made. So
Yeah, it's just something fun.
yeah, so I'm like, okay, I never wanted to spend money, but then I was like, fuck it, dude, let's do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I have, like, the Presonus audio box thing with some, like, studio speakers
Mm.
but I bought a setup, like, I don't know, 8 years ago 'cause, I had a homie that we were trying to get our rap career going,
Oh, really?
and, but I was, like, the only one that knew how to save money, and
Oh, okay.
so I was always the one buying shit for it, and, like, he could rap pretty good, and then I would just kind of fuck around with it, and
Okay.
then, I was more like the producer kinda guy,
Yeah.
and so I was trying to learn how to use all this shit, and it was just such a pain in the fucking ass, and then messing with beats and stuff
Hmm.
is way more difficult than I thought it was, and
Yeah.
you can only steal so many YouTube beats before it's like, we can't go any farther until we
Yeah.
learn how to make our own beats,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I kind of started thinking about the podcasting thing, and I was like, "Well, shit, I've got the gear, and this is way easier than trying to come up with lyrics and mess with beats and all that shit," so I
Yeah.
was like, "Well, I'm just gonna fucking start a podcast."
Well, I have to say, dude, like I think that you like going solo is very hard because you have to think what am I going to talk about? And it
Right,
feels
trying to
weird.
organize your thoughts
Yeah.
and
And it feels super weird to just be talking to yourself in a room.
oh, yeah.
But
Yeah,
you
you feel
know,
like a psychopath.
yeah, you do. You feel yeah. But you also, I mean, you have to remember that this is actually going out and people will be listening. So
Right.
it is a little bizarre. But I have to say though, like for you, I really like how you're able to keep all your thoughts together without so many filler words.
Word.
You're really impressive,
I
I
fucking
think.
appreciate that, dude. Because I have, like, a couple of homies that listen and some family members and
Hmm.
stuff, and so I treat it kinda like an update. I'm like, "Here's what's going on with my life,
Yeah.
guys. I love you." It's like leaving a voicemail almost, so
Yeah.
I think about that when I'm talking, and that kinda helps me get through it, but yeah, the first couple, I was like I would say fucking this and fucking that, and I noticed I was doing it, and I was like, "I have to stop." 'Cause I'm like, I swear all day,
Yeah.
but when you notice you're using those filler words and try and, like, adjust, because it is a process trying to, like, figure out how to do this stuff.
It is. It is. I've found that I just had to stop worrying about it. You know,
Uh,
sometimes I end up seeing because that's how I talk normally. Like I always end
mhm.
up saying like and and
Yeah,
that's
and
just the way I
everyone does,
talk.
even in, like, professional podcasts, I'll notice them doing it. They'll
Yes.
say, "Like this," or, they have their little words that they say, but it's just everyone does it. It's just a matter of whether the other stuff you say in between is worth listening to.
Yes. And that's why I said, you know what, I'm gonna just focus on the content instead of
Right, fuck
exactly
it.
how I'm yeah, exactly. Fuck it.
Yeah, and
Cause
it is smart that because I've been trying to get through yours, and they are very long though, so I
yeah.
kind of got to block off moments of my day where I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm gonna knock out one of these podcasts. I'm on the serial killers one right now, so
Oh,
I've been
okay.
listening to that.
Yeah, nobody's listened to that one. That one's like the lowest one. Actually, the lowest one was the troll one. Uh, but yeah, serial killers. Nobody listened to it, and I was surprised.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's funny because I'm like I like going through the whole series because I like having the background of what's been going on.
Hmm.
'Cause yeah, not all of it is fucking bangers, but
Yeah.
it's like then you have the whole backstory of what the podcasters what they got going on or what they've been talking about.
Yeah. I like to hear the growth. I like to hear the growth of the
Yeah.
people from the time that they began and then
Mhm.
where they're at like 2 years later.
Yeah, for
Have they
sure.
grown? Is are the topics better? Are they
Right.
more comfortable? Because it
The
really like
flow
what
the flow.
the flow, yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, it was really weird. I don't know how it was for you, but I've never done anything over on a microphone. I've never done any kind of
Right.
like, uh, like Twitch streaming. I've never done that. I never did. So
Uh-huh, so you're kinda starting from the ground up.
yeah, so like trying to figure out how to talk into a microphone and be comfortable with it. Like I talk all the time, and you as a
Mhm.
bartender, and I'm sure you talk all the time too.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're just sitting in a room and you're staring at a microphone or staring at a wall
Right.
or a computer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very easy to get in your head about it, and then it's like, "Well, how's does this even sound okay? Like,
Hmm.
do I sound retarded? Is
Yeah.
this a fucking why am I even doing this?" It's, like, real easy to just have a train wreck of thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know, do you ever find yourself like do you self censor at all?
Um, like, how do you mean? Like with like swear words or like
Mm,
with my like
Just
life, like personal
maybe
stuff?
like some of the things you might end up bringing up, you know?
Yeah, there's some things I've kind of like steered clear of.
Okay.
Mainly my old job, which I don't really give a fuck, but like I just won't ever I'll never name the company.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'll talk about the job and I'll be like, yeah, they're fucking assholes, they're retarded.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind saying shit like that, but I just
Okay.
won't ever bring up the name of the company, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like for
Because that
me,
was my
go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead, man.
Oh, just freaking because that was my main holdup of starting the podcast. Because like I've had the Bartenders Anonymous idea for like maybe 2 years, but I was too scared to pull the trigger because you're working at a corporation,
Hmm.
and if anyone catches wind, and then they'll fire you for just talking shit, you know.
Yeah.
So once I quit, I was like, no, fuck it, I got nothing to lose now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have to, because I work for a school district, so I kind of have to,
Hmm.
uh, like, part of me is like, what, can I say this? Can I say that kids are
Yeah,
fucking stupid? But I
right.
just go ahead
I
and
know.
say,
Because I was kind of wondering what you did for work, and
hmm
then I noticed because I started from your first episode, you know, so I'll catch all the little stuff.
hmm
And I heard you say something about working out of school, and I was like, oh yeah, that could be tricky
yeah,
doing a podcast and then wondering if they're gonna hear it or whatever.
yeah. That's why I've always tried to keep my name, like, my name out of it. It
Hmm.
did slip a couple of times,
Yeah,
but that's like a couple episodes ago. I think it slipped. So,
yeah,
but I try to keep like with you, dude, anonymous. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the whole thing, and I was like, I don't mind if my name ends up getting out there, but I've just been trying to keep it like my complete identity is like, you know, it's not really part of the thing. It's just like the content
hmm
and then, you know, what we're talking about. But
yeah,
that was one of the first things I had to learn was how to go in and cut my name out. So
yeah,
just to like do a little editing shit like that where it's like, oh, said my name. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that.
yeah. I had to. There was a. We were talking about a friend. I don't know which episode it was. I'm sure you've already heard it already, but where I had to bleep out his name because he
Uh
doesn't
huh.
want to be known. So I had to go
Right.
on YouTube and I had to download. Uh, I had to download the censor beep. So
Oh
so
yeah.
little things like that. You're like, ah, fuck,
Hmm.
man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what I wanted to do originally because I thought it'd be funny to have the beep.
yeah,
But it was just kind of a pain in the butt, but with that Studio One software, it's pretty easy to just, like, use the cut tool, and you can just delete it out and drag it
yeah,
back, and it's gone.
yeah. But have you? I'm wondering what theme song you're on yet? Because I eventually ended up changing my theme song to.
So, I just have a bunch of samples,
Well, no,
and I
I mean
literally just
I'm in
or what do you mean?
on my podcast on the Hoof Hearted one. I'm curious because
Oh, I'm not sure, it just seemed like some kinda basic one, but I think it was the same for the past couple of episodes.
yeah, eventually I ended up getting the same one, and then I can't remember when I ended up switching it over. Like I found one that I really liked. I like yours. Yours is good, dude. So where did
Yeah,
you
I
get
just
it?
do a different so I had this stupid, oh, what the fuck was it called? Oh, Splice. So I had
Okay.
this software Splice when I was trying to make beats and stuff, and
Hmm.
I got this subscription, and I was paying for it, and they give you so many credits, and then you can just buy samples. And I wasn't doing anything with it, so I didn't want the fucking software anymore. So I quit paying for it, but I burned all my credits and just bought a bunch of samples.
Oh, nice.
And so I used a lot of those, and then the Studio One just comes with a bunch of just basic ass like acoustic guitars and drums
Gotcha.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll usually just mash two together and just go, yeah, that sounds fine, whatever.
Yeah. At one point, I made one theme song with. I had some app on my phone that had some loops, so I just
Hmm.
made like something basic, and then
Yeah.
my cousin, the one that you said was was a little hard to get through.
Oh,
Um,
Sleepy Joe,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever his I don't remember his name.
His name is Sean. Yeah. He he makes his own music, so I used
Hmm.
his for a little bit, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't hitting right. I felt like
Yeah.
for us, the show was kind of, I don't know. I wanted something more like upbeat,
Uh
and
huh.
then also I wanted to try and add where we got the name of the show from.
Right.
So in the later like the from now from since like there was some episode, I can't remember which one, where I first did it, but it actually shows the Hoof Hearted thing.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because like when I first looked up your podcast, I looked on YouTube and there was like some racehorse named Who Farted,
Hmm.
and there's like just a bunch of like kind of little jokes or whatever, people
Hmm.
that have used it. And I was like, oh, maybe that's why he puts it on Spotify because there's too much like Who Farted, I don't know, shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
But how is it hard to put stuff on Spotify?
Spotify is super easy, but that's because I use
Yeah.
Anchor, and Anchor is
Uh-huh.
owned by Spotify.
Oh,
So
word.
so Anchor, basically you just create an account, and then you go ahead and you record offline. You can
Mm,
record, do whatever you want, and then you go ahead and upload the file. And I think that the file has to be an MP3, but I can't remember.
yeah.
So then I just go ahead and I upload it to Anchor, and then I go ahead and type in the description of what it is, and then boom, there it goes. It
Mm,
automatically uploads it to Spotify. The beauty of being on Spotify is, and I haven't taken advantage of it yet, but when you're on Spotify, if it's Spotify only, you can
yeah.
actually use any music that you want. So I could
Oh,
do it without copyright infringement because Spotify, has the rights
right.
to these songs.
Interesting.
So
So you don't got
that's
to worry about any of that shit.
yeah, so that's the beauty of it. But in fact, I have a music episode, and I was trying to get the podcast on other platforms.
Yeah.
Like I tried Apple, like the Apple Podcast,
Mhm.
and they were a pain in the ass. I tried setting up an account, and every single time I tried to set up an account with them, I kept getting some sort of an error. So I'm like, you know what, fuck these guys. I don't even like Apple, anyways.
Yeah, Apple can be fucking super annoying. Like I've been
Yeah,
using an iPhone for a while because I've just gotten used to it.
yeah.
And one of the reasons I actually started using it is because it's got the voice memos.
Hmm.
And so what I used to do is when I was driving to work, because I'd have like 25-minute drive, is I would just do a voice memo and I would practice the podcast.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, and so it was like the uh I don't know, like the secondary kind of Bartenders Anonymous podcast to myself. And I would like listen back to them and kind of be like, okay, that sounded really stupid. Or I kind of could get a little bit of practice that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
overall, yeah, Apple's fucking annoying.
yeah. I'm not a huge fan. Like I had an Apple from like the time that the 3GS came out. So I
Mhm.
was like Apple. I was entrenched in it, dude, and I
Yeah.
stuck by it. And then I never got an Android because I was like, yeah, it's just too. It's not. What's the word? But it's too buggy. Was my thing.
With
Like,
Android,
yeah, the
yeah,
Android.
it's not super smooth. Like you can do a lot of shit with it,
Yeah.
but it's like it gets kind of cluttered fast and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I used Android for a long time and like the freedom you have with it is cool,
Yeah.
but the interface to me is not. Like Apple does have a pretty good interface with their stuff. It's just
Yeah.
like unless you have a $2,000 MacBook and like the Apple Pods and like everything Apple, then it's kind of wonky.
Yeah, and that was where I was having issues because like I had an Apple Watch, but I didn't like it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then I found out that you can actually use a Samsung watch on there. So I was like, sweet, I'm gonna get the Samsung
Oh,
watch.
word.
So I did that, and then it's just time went on. Like I stopped. I had an 8 plus is what I had, and I was
Mhm.
like, you know what, this is just I'm good. I'm done with Apple, and I ended up getting that folding phone from Samsung.
Oh, yeah. How you
Yeah,
like that thing?
dude, I like it, man. It's great. The the only drawback is that if you fold it and then open it, fold it and open it, you just do it too much, you're gonna
Uh-huh.
start to get a little crack in the screen. So
Oh, yeah.
that
Because
is
it's like
super.
it's a mechanical thing.
Yeah, they haven't figured out the right way to go ahead and try to relieve some of the pressure that you put on that screen.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, I don't know if they're gonna change it because I think that they would want you to have to go and buy a brand new phone.
Oh, yeah,
Because
wear that thing out and go
yeah,
buy another one.
yeah. So, I
Yeah, that's what I got a iPhone X. I think it's like the iPhone 10 or whatever.
Hmm.
Is my ex-girlfriend's old phone, and I've just been using that thing until the wheels fall off, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to make the big decision on what I'm gonna get next. So
Yeah. I like to
I'm putting that off.
yeah, I like to keep a phone for at least 4 or 5 years. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I generally use it till it fucking breaks, or
yep.
just or I get drunk and drop it in a lake or something, or like force myself to go get a new one.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I got. So I'm happy with it. I've never had an Android phone before, so I'm pretty thrilled. Like I
Yeah.
get to play my emulated games on there. I
Oh
can
yeah, true.
yeah, I can edit whatever. I like the folding phone because I do a lot of like different research so I can multitask, you know.
Hmm.
I mean I know that you've gone to the conspiracy episode,
Yeah.
and we talk a lot of conspiracies, and I'm into a lot of different conspiracies. So I ended up I ended up getting this phone, and I'm able to like do a bunch of different research all at one time. So I that's what I really like about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just getting like the new, because if you let like 4 years go by, then kind of no matter what phone you get, it's gonna be fucking badass.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So that's why. But if you get one every year, then it's like, oh yeah, it does the pictures a little bit better or
Yeah.
whatever.
You really
I
can't
saw one thing
appreciate
with
it.
that. You remember seeing the thing where they could zoom in like on the moon or whatever?
Mhm.
I saw a video. I don't even know if it's true or not, but where they're like that was like simulated, where they put like a replica of the moon, like a picture of the moon on their wall, or just like like a
Oh, okay.
glowing circle, and they zoom in on it, and it just like turns into the moon, like it shows all the caves and or like the grooves and
Oh,
shit,
okay.
where it was just kind of like a fake ploy to make it look like you're zooming way in on the moon.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
But yeah, that goes back to the conspiracy things where it's like
Yeah.
we never
Yeah.
really know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, we talked, I don't know if you got to the episode, but we talked about the moon and stuff. So, you were like,
No, I don't remember. I remember the homie and you talking about like flat Earth and shit,
yeah,
and it's like, well, I mean, we don't actually know, but I'm leaning towards it's round.
yeah. That's how I feel
Yeah,
still. But, I'm like, I don't know. I've never been up there high enough to know.
right.
So,
Yeah, I can't completely disprove it myself, but I'm leaning towards sphere.
exactly. Exactly. So, okay. Excuse me. You heard the accidents may happen episode, huh?
Oh, you shit in your pants or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah, I was actually cracking up at that one
okay.
because I'm like, when you were telling that story, I was like, I shit my pants one time, so I can relate.
Yeah.
But when you get the bubble guts and it's like, no, it's
Oh,
just you're
dude.
not gonna make it.
Yeah, yeah. And I had a finger up my ass too, so there was that.
Oh, and the thing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the whole thing with the podcast, man. And honestly, I've told that story before because it's funny. If you can't laugh at
Yeah,
yourself and you can't laugh at bad shit that's happened to you, then what's the
yeah,
point, dude? So
yeah,
yeah.
100%.
But that's the whole point of the podcast is to be able to tell those stories, and that's what I like
Yeah,
about your podcast is you. I mean, it's weird to me that so much kind of like random shit happens to you. Like that dude stealing your bike.
yeah,
That was fucked
dude.
up.
That I was like just trying to get home, and I go out there, and my fucking bike is gone, and then I just happen to catch him out of the corner of my eye,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no fucking way.
yeah. That was
And
wild to me.
yeah,
And then you
and I know,
chased him. I can't believe you chased him.
dude, I had to make that decision because it was like, okay, you either let it go and you're out 350 bucks,
Yeah,
or you chase him and see what happens.
yeah,
And I was like, fuck it. I mean, what do I got to lose anyways? Like, he's probably just some stupid crackhead. But my adrenaline was just like, just fucking chase him, chase that motherfucker.
yeah.
And he just gave it back. I was like, what in what world does that happen?
Yep.
And I know that like everybody has weird shit that happens to them. That's why in my head I always think that just like everyone should do a podcast, because
Hmm.
it's like I everyone has little weird shit like that, that it's like if you just threw that in your notes and just like kind of regurgitate regurgitated it later, it would be fucking interesting because I know those little coincidences and stuff, they happen to everyone, but most people just kind of like go, "That was fucking weird," and then they go on with their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, no, that's fucking good material.
Yeah. I think people don't really they don't take note of the little things that happen in their life. I think that's really what it is. So that's
Yeah, they
what
just
I
go,
think
"Huh,
differentiates, like, someone like you and me from other people. Like, they don't really
right,
like pay attention to their life, and they don't appreciate these little things, these little moments that just seem off.
uh-huh,
Like one time I was walking downtown and I saw some lady, some homeless lady, like, look at her pants, realize that
uh-huh,
they were on backwards, and she
uh-huh."
dropped her pants and her underwear, so she's just naked from the waist down. And then
What the fuck?
she turns her pants around, steps back in them, and then pulls them back up. Like, I'm good now.
Yeah, she corrected it.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, I'm like,
It
that's a weird fucking moment, you know. But
yeah,
some people won't even talk about it. But yeah, dude, that's a great moment. It was so funny to me.
100%.
Yeah,
That's literally like there's people in a writer's room somewhere trying to come up with something where that would be money.
yeah,
Like just that little thing where it's like you look over and there's a homeless lady just taking her pants off,
yeah,
correcting them, and moving along.
yeah, exactly. In fact,
It's like when they say you can't write this shit. It's like, no, just life like writes itself.
exactly, yes, yeah. I actually wrote a screenplay with a friend, and a lot of it was stuff that happened to me at work,
Mhm.
and stuff that had happened just in my head, but
Yeah, no shit.
just things that had happened at work, uh like which I know I talked about. I think it was in the talking shit episode. I
Mhm.
talked about this lady that was trying to send her husband's ashes through the mail.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember
Yeah,
that part.
that's just fucking, it's bizarre. Like, that's the weirdest fucking thing. What? Like, can
Yeah,
you
and
even
that's
do
where
that?
I think that's illegal,
Yeah.
but I I get that you're trying to do it, but yeah, because people are like they're like characters in a TV show, like
Hmm.
in real life.
Yeah. And those are the people I pay attention to. Like, those are my
Mhm.
favorite people. The people who have like a weird look to them, or they walk a little funny,
And
or
they're oblivious. They
yeah,
don't know that they're like a character in your life, and you're like, "You're fucking the man."
yeah. Because but that's just the way that they are. And it's not that I'm
Mhm.
hating on them at all or making fun of
Right.
them, because I think that they're wonderful people. Like, be yourself, you know. There was
I have to Oh, no, go ahead.
there was one dude that I at my work. He came in. He was a customer, and he had an eye patch, and he couldn't read something. Like, he was getting some photos, because I
Yeah.
worked in a photo department, and he was looking at photos, and he couldn't read it. So he grabbed glasses and put them on, and I was like, I think the extra lens is a little unnecessary, you know?
Yeah, but a dude with an eye patch and he's
Yeah,
wearing glasses.
yeah. I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious to me. But what were you
that's
gonna
worth
say?
noting.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just that like especially being like a bartender and shit and it helps me to remind myself that people are like that it's
Hmm.
like everyone's just in their own little world and it's like no, that's the character that they are. They can't fucking help it. They don't even if they're being rude or something in the moment and I will get pissed. Like sometimes I'll just get pissed and I just got to just let it ride for half an hour and then you just remember no, that's just who that dude is. He's the guy in the TV show that's just a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
And you just gotta just let him be,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
and put it in my notes and say it on my podcast.
Exactly. Exactly. I have a question. Have we started yet?
Oh, I don't fucking know. Are
Oh,
you just recording
I'm
everything?
I'm recording everything, so so I don't
Yeah,
even
I'm fine.
I don't know if you wanted, if there was like an official start or not. So I don't
I'm
know how you
totally
do
down
things.
with so I like just fucking hit and record and just start talking. So this is, like, perfect to me.
Okay.
And then, because I'm not even recording anything, I'll just let you record it
Okay.
so I
Sounds
don't
good.
fuck it up.
Yeah.
And then when you send me the file or whatever, I'll put it in my software and probably, like I might do a little intro
Okay.
just being like, "This is the Hoof Hearted Bartenders Anonymous collab thing,"
Yeah.
and, probably put in some stupid music and then I'll just let it play.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is I will go ahead, and because it it records every like each channel separately. So what I'll
Uh-huh.
do is I'll make sure that the levels are good, and then I'll just compress it into one channel, and then
Okay.
so it'll just be like one file. It and then I'll send it to you. So it won't be stereo. It'll just be a mono track.
Word. Oh, that's fine. Because then
Yeah,
I can do a little intro separate, and then I'll just plug that into my software
yeah.
and mix it down and fucking throw it on YouTube.
Yeah, I find it easier when it's just down to one single track, because if it's multiple
Hmm.
tracks, like trying to edit that, like taking out any kind of things that you don't want in there,
Yeah.
it ends up being a pain in the ass. So because you might
Yeah, I
throw
just
something
thought that
off.
would be just easier with
Hmm.
you just recording because I don't know how to put the Discord into my thing. I don't know. I didn't want to be fucking with it while we were chatting, so I was like, I'll
Yeah,
just let it ride and then
no
I'll
problem.
figure out the mix down later.
Yeah, and then I'll have to I probably will have to go ahead and cut the file up into, like, I'll have to do it into smaller chunks, cuz I know Google will only allow me to send through email like a certain
Mm-hmm.
size. So, so I might have to come over and, cuz I don't have like a Google Drive. I think I do, but I don't remember the password to it, so I
Yeah.
can
See, that's the
get
thing
that.
where it's like I don't know how to use half of that shit. So like
Yeah.
I've just that's why it's always been so easy for me to just do it by myself.
Mhm.
And then I mean, I've done in the past, I've like recorded podcasts, but half the time I was fucking half hammered, and then my guest is kind of half hammered, and I'm like messing the mics up, and I don't even think I listened back to them because they're like embarrassing.
That's funny. Yeah. So what like got you into the whole like, well, I mean, I think you kind of talked about it, like you were gonna rap and stuff. So what was getting you into rap though? Like, do you still rap at all or no?
I mean, I'll like throw some lyrics in my notes or something,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, I worked at McDonald's for like 6 years, and when you're back there, just like wrapping cheeseburgers and stuff, and I'd just be back there just listening to music and stuff, and
Yeah.
then, I kinda came up with this stupid, like, McChicken rap,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started remembering lyrics, and so I had, like, this little, like, 30-second rap that was, like, kinda decent,
Yeah.
and then, I met a homie that started working at McDonald's, and he would just fucking get stoned and rap, like, for days, and I thought it was so cool and interesting, and then, like, I would get drunk and rap my little rap, and it would be like a party trick, where
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, hey, he can freaking rap," but it's like, I really can't, like, freestyle. I fucking suck at that.
Yeah. That's hard, dude.
So I just it's such a pain in the butt, and, I ended up, I recorded a track with him, and, it took me so long to do, like I wrote, like, 3 verses,
Mm-hmm.
and, it came out pretty good, but it took so long, and it was such a pain in the ass, like, getting it right and, like, just so that it didn't sound like, a cheesy white rapper.
Yeah.
And, I was like, I don't wanna I can't put the time and energy into it. I wasn't as passionate about it, but I liked that we recorded the one track, so I was like, "Okay, I can do it," but it's not driving me. So, then I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and, I was like, "I could fucking do that."
Yeah. What did you listen to?
And podcast-wise, I mean, I feel like everybody kinda starts with Rogan,
Yeah.
and then, I got into Tom Segura, and so I listened to Your Mom's House.
Yeah. Gene.
So I listen Yeah, the jeans, dude.
Yeah. Gene.
And, so I listened to them, like, religiously for a long time, and, now they're like I don't know, it's a little now that they're, like, so big and it's, like, almost kinda cringy,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I've been fucking around on Reddit, and, they're all like, "Oh, Tom's changed, and he's a piece of shit now, and da da da," and I'm like, "Yeah, I kinda just quit listening to it." So now
Yeah.
I just been listening to, have you ever heard of, Shane Gillis?
Yeah, dude. I like Shane. Yeah. He's hilarious.
I've been listening to, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast,
Okay.
and I'm fucking digging that a lot right now. That's, like, my favorite.
Dude,
But just listening to a couple of homies bullshitting, and it's like,
mhm.
that's basically their job, and I'm like, "Dude, that's so freaking dope." Like, I wanna do that.
Yes, exactly. That's why I am doing that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
100%, and you got your freaking homie.
yeah. The cool thing with him, with Max, is that like we used to work together, And
Mm.
back in the day, we were talking about doing podcasts, and I mean, like it took us like 8 years to actually finally get one going. But we
Uh-huh.
had been talking about it for a long time, and
Yeah.
like I wish so badly that we would have done it then, but I was in a marriage that I would not have been able to do it. So,
Mhm.
um, I mean, it would have been a great escape, but just wasn't. It wasn't the right time. So, I mean, it would have been
Right.
great to be able to do it because then, I probably would actually have a following at this point, because we would have
Right.
got in at the ground floor almost, but
Yeah, 8 years ago would be an excellent time to start a
ex-
podcast.
exactly, yeah, not after COVID and everybody's doing a podcast. I mean,
It is very cluttered.
yes, I'm a 40 I'm in my 40s. I'm an overweight middle-aged white man with a beard, and I talk movies, video games, and conspiracies. So I'm really not offering anything new to
Uh-huh.
to anyone, but
Yeah.
the only thing I'm offering is my point of view, and I have to
Right.
just hope that that's enough for people to be interested.
Dude,
So,
100%.
yeah.
'Cause that's all you can do is, like, put it out there and then, like, cause that's why I think everybody should have one, even though it is cluttered.
Yeah.
Cause it's like somebody will listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause like, we all have, like, friends or family or whatever that are just, like that like to talk to us, and
Mhm.
so, it's like, if you just throw it up so they can click on it and listen to it, like, somebody's going to, and I just think you can kind of slowly grow a little bit of a fan base just through word of mouth, and then whatever. It's like you're not hurting anybody by doing it, so you really have nothing to lose.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't gotten much of a following. I do know that there are some people that actually listen that aren't friends.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'd have to say that the most frustrating thing, because I know you're really early on. I've been doing it for a year now, a little over a
Uh-huh.
year, and I haven't, I haven't had enough interaction with people, and that's what's frustrating. Like I know, I know that my friends are listening. At least a few of them are
Mhm.
listening, and I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate that. And I greatly appreciate everybody who does listen. But like the interaction, I just so wish that there was more,
Yeah.
especially early on, because I feel like even if somebody just listens to a little bit of it, I just wish that they
Mhm.
would reach out and say like, you suck ass. Like I want to
Right.
know, like I want some constructive criticism, of course, but I also want to hear
Yeah.
people be like, yeah, nah, dude, I don't like it. And that's
Any kind of
cool.
feedback.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I mean,
Yeah, I definitely thought there was gonna be more, like, more comments. Like, I'll get a comment here and there,
hmm
and but even, like, even, like, likes, because it's like I know I have, like, some good friends and stuff to listen to it, but it's like I still only get, like, 1 or 2 like. I'm
yeah,
like, but I don't wanna be the guy that's like, "Don't forget to like it."
yeah, like and subscribe. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like, I don't ever wanna fucking say that shit, but it's like, yeah, because people, they'll just listen to it and go about their day, and it's kinda whatever, but
hmm
then I'm going on and looking at all the analytics and shit, and, like, I'm like, "Oh, I only have 3 subscribers?"
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm one of those three, dude. So,
Dude, I appreciate it.
yeah, man. Well, yeah, I liked it, and the great thing, I mean, it is good that your podcast is short for a lot of people. I like the long form,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but after listening to yours, I started thinking, you know what? I probably need to do a second podcast, and I need it to be
Yeah.
a short form where it's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Because when you're flying solo, oh, and that's what I was gonna say is, Bill Burr
hmm
was obviously, like, an inspiration because he just, like, records himself just rambling,
Yeah,
and also he's a professional comedian, so it's
yeah.
like, it's fucking hilarious.
But he rants like nobody else, dude.
He just rants, and
Yeah.
he'll talk about sports and the fucking Patriots and da 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 da, and, I always thought that was just, and it was kinda short and sweet and da da da, but it's a different style of podcasting because it's like when you have somebody to bounce off of, the conversation is like an hour long, like, it just kinda just how it flows.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
I
just
always like,
different style.
yeah, I always like that. I'm really, my favorite form is interview. Um,
Mhm.
and I have been fortunate enough to interview a couple of people. and I'd like to
Yeah.
interview more so then that way I could get better at it, because that is a skill that you have to do it enough to actually get really good at it.
Yeah, 100%. Just to like hit a question or a point that just like gets another 5 minutes of conversation and just like
Hmm.
and I feel like cuz I'm a bartender and sometimes I'll just have it'll be just me and literally one guy sitting at the bar and I kind of have to talk to him.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten kind of good at just like, oh, I'll ask him this and then he'll talk for however long and I'll kind of reiterate something. And so I've kind of gotten practice just from doing that. And I wanted to do a podcast with a homie, but it just never really worked out because, like, the one guy, one good buddy of mine, he like moved to Vegas
Mm.
and he recorded one with me, but we were like drinking beers and stuff. And that was another thing because I got that stupid DUI. And so I
Yeah.
was like, well, I have to learn how to do this shit sober.
Yeah.
But then you do actually kind of get better at it because, like, you have 3 beers and you start just letting shit fly and ramble, and it's not the most coherent
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Well, I know you had said, because I listened to your episode 19, and you were saying that you were talking about us, which I appreciate. That was cool, dude.
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah.
And you said, yeah, I think there are a couple of stoners, and Mex is definitely a stoner.
Uh-huh.
Me, I am not. This is just natural. So,
Oh, okay, word.
yeah, I mean, I've been accused of it, that's for sure,
Yeah,
but that's just who I am. I think okay,
word.
okay, so I think that what happened was uh like I was in the womb, and my dad was smoking weed, and my mom saw my mom says to him, "If this baby comes out retarded, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And I didn't come out retarded, but I came out like super chill,
Laid
and
back.
I got the munchies. So,
Mm,
yeah, that's pretty much like I could
dude, that shit
always
probably
go.
could have a lot to do with it.
Could, dude. It could. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe like secondhand like weed smoke would be something that all of these fucking kids could have. Like they
yeah,
should they
very well
should
could be.
have. Like that could be a good thing, because I think these kids
Yeah,
are too fucking stressed out. So,
yeah. Give him some
yeah.
freaking at least some CBD.
Yeah, exactly. That should be part of like the prenatal vitamins and stuff. Just throw a little
Yeah.
bit of CBD in there, and then maybe these kids
Uh-huh.
will fucking chill out. Maybe they'll
Yeah, no,
stop
just when I'm
crying.
when I'm list well, yeah, fucking stop crying. Fucking get stoned and chill the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah,
But when I listen to you and Mex talking and stuff, and then he'll say something, and I'm like, I got a couple homies that sound a lot like you, man,
yeah.
and they're stoners.
Yep. Yeah, no, he's a total stoner. But he's like
Yeah,
he's one of those that like amazes me. He is a high functioning pothead, and the high
yeah,
functioning potheads, I don't know how they could do that, cuz if I took one hit,
yeah.
then I am, and it doesn't matter if it's a sativa or an indica, I am
Mhm.
planted on that couch, and I am eating a box of Triscuits, and I am watching Big Mouth or some other fucking show,
Yeah.
and that's it. So,
It is weird. It's
yeah,
weird how much it affects people differently.
yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
I'm a big dude, and I found this out like later, but like I would smoke a little bit. I actually the first time I smoked was I was 33, so I never
Mhm.
smoked
Oh,
weed
really?
before. Yeah, yeah, I did it late. But like I had smoked, and then it was always just every once in a while.
Yeah.
So I had smoked, and then like a couple days later, I was working out, and then I started feeling high again. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I haven't smoked in a few days. Like, what is going
Huh.
on? I found out that, it stores like in your fat cells.
Right. So you're,
S-
like, sweating it out.
I was sweating it out. I'm like, dude, this is kind I mean, that's kind of a bonus. Like, I don't have to
Right,
smoke as
yeah.
much weed, just
Round
exercise.
2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, being a fat dude, like I kind of, that's a perk. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have to buy as much weed as everybody else. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, just having I've always had a very low tolerance, so I'm
Hmm.
like before I got my Dewey, I was like, I was starting to smoke more and like kind of building a tolerance, but I was fucking with weed gummies
Hmm.
and I would eat one and then like early in the day and it would kind of not hit me and then I'd eat something and drive to work and I would just start feeling fucking all stony baloney
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh fuck." Now I'm like having anxiety because I'm driving to work and then somebody at work told me they go, "Oh yeah, you want to like activate that gummy, you eat some hot food and
Yeah.
then you're right in it." And I was like, "Well, fuck. I wish I would have known that before I started getting into it."
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I'm a lightweight as well. And for a time I was smoking every night to go to sleep, but I had to stop for work. So,
Yeah.
and I just never really picked it back up again, but um I don't know. It's just I like you said, dude. I don't know. I just don't think it's for me. Like I'm a lightweight, so like you said,
Yeah, no,
and I
everybody's
just
different.
yeah. So and then, but you, dude, you're chewing the nicotine gum.
Oh my gosh, it's all that's getting me through this fucking sober period because I was like, I mean, I don't want to just call myself a drinker, but I was a fucking drinker. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get through my 5 days of work and then just get fucking hammered on the weekends.
Yeah.
And so just having to go cold turkey with the alcohol, I was like, well, and I had almost quit when it like at around when I quit my job, I was like almost done with nicotine. And then
Mm-hmm.
that happened. And I was like, well, not quitting this year.
So do you like? Did you vape or did you smoke or was it just always
I
gum?
I used to smoke, and, it just got to the point where I was like, "This is just fucking disgusting."
Mm-hmm.
And, and then I'd chew to quit smoking, and then they came out with those Zyn pouches,
Oh
and,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so, like, now I'm just all pouchies.
Oh yeah, the pouches. That's what you do, not the gum. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's hard to find, nicotine gum, like, I feel like they had it at gas stations for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but unless you get, like, Nicorette now, it's kinda there's not really much of a market for it, it's just all these pouches.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how you could do it. I don't know how you could do because I tried like a nicotine gum and
Mhm.
like my head was
It'll buzz you.
just buzzing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I smoke
Do you
cigarettes, so
you smoke cigarettes?
yeah, yeah. But I that nicotine gum like it just I don't know. I felt like it just hit me like it was
Yeah, it'll fuck you up.
yeah, because you know how you kind of get that little head change when you have like that first cigarette of the day.
Uh-huh.
Um, I felt like every time, like when having that gum, it was like getting that head change, but it lasted longer and it was more
Mhm.
intense. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
thank you. And I'm sure it'd be the same thing with those pouches. I'm good, man. I
Yeah.
smoke a cigarette and then you know I'm good.
Yeah. No, and I tried vaping too, and then but then the vaping I would feel it on my chest, and it almost felt like I was smoking cigarettes, and I'm
Yeah,
like, "I don't really like that either." And then, yeah, once I got hooked on the pouches, it's just like because to me, I call it my Bluetooth nicotine because it's hands-free.
yeah. Oh,
And
nice.
so
Yeah.
I can throw a pouch in and, like, go about whatever I'm doing, and
Mm-hmm.
I can just get my little nicotine buzz. So that's like I'm nicotine and soda water is just, like, what gets me through my cravings of booze,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah, we all have habits, and the only way that you could break bad ones is by starting another one. So when
That's
my
what it seems like, dude.
yeah,
It's like I need some kind of vice to ground me, which is
exactly.
bad, but it
Yeah.
just is what it is.
My dad, the first time he quit smoking, he started eating sunflower seeds. Well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
problem is the sunflower seeds are super salty. And
Uh-huh.
so him quitting, he ended up gaining like I think he gained like 30 pounds.
Oh,
And then
Jesus.
and then and then he ended up getting high blood pressure. So
All that
like
sodium.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like quitting smoking was like the worst thing that he could have done. It was
Yeah,
worse for him than
you can't win, dude.
yeah, exactly. So and I'll tell you what though, man, like I do have kids. I have three kids. Well, I have three kids living with me. I have two
Yeah.
biological and I have two step kids. And after having kids, like I realized why my dad smoked so much.
Yeah.
Uh, like that was his escape. He'd take the cigarette outside and he'd be like that Ben Affleck meme where Ben Affleck's having a cigarette
Oh,
out,
yeah.
yeah, and he's just like, "Oh my god, these fucking people."
Fuck my life.
Yeah, That's exactly how my dad would be, and that's exactly how I am half the time when I'm outside, like smoking a cigarette. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, dude, I props to you for having the whole family role, and then also finding a little bit of time where you can chill out and do your podcast with the homies.
yes,
Because I know it's not easy to do because
it's
there's all these
not.
people. I got a lot of friends with kids, and
Hmm.
it sounds so fucking stressful.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so I
it
almost feel
is.
I feel bad sometimes where I'm just like, "Oh, what am I gonna do today?"
Yeah. You know what? The thing that makes it hard, okay, so because I do a podcast with a friend, his schedule is different than my schedule. So
Mhm.
that's what makes it really difficult. And then the other thing too is like, yeah, family. You know, I got to spend time with
Mhm.
the family. So I try not to
Right.
record on the weekends.
Yeah.
And you know, I try not to record when the kids are home because they may need
Right. You
something,
gotta find
whatever.
that perfect time.
Yeah, so you know, like I know that there's some people, um, like I have some buddies that they have a podcast. Their podcast is the Pooh Finger podcast, and
Oh, yeah, I actually put that in my notes. I remember you saying something
oh,
about that
okay,
an episode or 2 ago, and I put
yeah.
it in my notes, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna look that one up."
If you do you have any problem with the English accent?
No, I think it's funny sometimes.
Okay, then you probably would like their show,
Yeah.
because like Mex has a hard time understanding them. So
Uh-huh.
but because some people like my wife, she can't understand the English accent very well either.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, you're watching your British shit again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I am." But
The
but
fucking Brits.
yeah, exactly, dude. IT crowd is like the best. But but their show is fantastic, and now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh,
What I was
sorry, I
talking about.
derailed you.
No,
The
no,
poo
dude.
finger.
Yeah, poo finger. But yeah, I forgot exactly what I was. I'll wind the tape back, but no. Yeah, but no, they're good. They're good guys. You should check them. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say now. They have a set time, right, when they record. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
record at the same time every single week, and then so he's very rigid with and I'm envious of that. Like I just don't
Right.
have that. I don't have that ability with my with my coworker having
Right.
a job that doesn't have a set schedule every time. Like his schedule is
Yeah.
always varying. My
Yeah,
schedule's
it's
always
hard
been,
to do.
yeah, it is hard. So but my schedule's always been set. At least it was with me
Mhm.
working for the school. But um, now I don't know if I talked about it, but like now I'm not even working at the school. I'm still employed with them. It's a whole story. And if you listen to the
Yeah.
podcast, you'll find out. But
I'm working my way up. I didn't wanna, like, jump to the
yeah.
top because I wanted to burn through the whole thing.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate it,
in due
man.
time, no spoilers.
No spoilers, no spoilers. But so I it now it's a little different. So I have been. This is a spoiler. I have been
Oh, go
doing
ahead,
I
go
have
ahead, I
been
don't
doing
care.
Lyft, and I've been doing Uber. So
Oh, sick.
so it's cool. Like I get to kind of make my own schedule with that, and it gives me some flexibility. But at the same time, like last week, I had you're talking about the kids stuff.
Yeah.
Last week, every one of my kids had an appointment, and I had to take them out of school early.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
And then and it was like, and then the dogs had an appointment. So it's like my whole week was just appointments, and I couldn't go out and
Mhm.
work. Well, if I'm not going out and working, then I'm not getting paid. And
Right.
the week before that I was sick, so I didn't even work at all. And so it's like I'm like, dude, I gotta make some money. So it's like I get kind of stressed out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still all right. But like then you start thinking like, oh, these kids are bogging me down, man, with all these damn appointments and everything.
Right.
So some stability is something that I really
Yeah.
wish that I had in the job, and I wish that I had in the podcast. Like, because this is a hobby and this is fun, and I love doing it. Like, this is great, dude. Like, I get to talk to you, and I listen to your
Yeah, dude,
podcast, and I
I
love
was
it.
so stoked. I was
Yeah,
so stoked to just talk to another person that's, like, passionate about podcasting
yeah,
because 'cause I'm like, I've never, like, interacted with another person that does a podcast.
yeah. and I feel like, I mean, like I'm just like slightly further ahead than you are as far
Mhm.
as like how long I've been doing it. Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're still newbies in this, so
Right.
I don't know, it's just cool to talk to like-minded people, and then
Absolutely.
to know like we're kind of like at the same, we're at similar points,
Uh-huh.
in our little path here. So it's cool,
Yeah, because
man.
I listen to, like, all the podcasts that I listen to, that's some of the my favorite points is when they're like 300 episodes in, so they're new-ish, but they're so good at it now, and they're like it's like the pinnacle
Hmm.
of where they're at, and that's the fun part that I like to listen to. So that's why I like going back and listening to old podcasts of
Yeah,
like your mom's house or something, and it's kind of inspiring to be like, well, yeah, they sucked at one point too,
yeah. I do
and then
feel
you watch them grow.
Yeah, and I do feel though that it's kind of, I mean, they're comedians, right? So they talk on a
Yeah.
microphone to just
Uh-huh.
people all the time, so they're used to it. But it is
Yeah.
encouraging to know that these guys are professional before they even started, and
Right.
you can see that they're growing as a podcaster. So it is a little encouraging.
Dude, that was one thing I wanted to ask you about because I remember in one of those episodes you said something about doing some kind of comedy sketches or like some kind of sketch something or other.
Oh yeah, Max wants to do sketches. Yeah, he
Well,
want.
but no, you said you were like in a group or something,
Oh
or you did
yeah,
classes.
yeah. No, I used to be like back in 2002 or 2001, somewhere
Uh
around
huh.
there. I was in a local sketch group. Yeah, yeah.
Like what the hell? How do you even drop into that? Like how do you find that?
I had a friend that was friends with the guy who was running the sketch group, and my friend thought that I was hilarious, and he's like, "Dude, you should totally do this, man. Do you want to talk to him?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, sure, man. That'd be cool. I always wanted to."
Hmm.
Drama was like my favorite class in school,
Yeah.
but I never liked the drama part. I just liked the improv stuff that we would do.
Right.
So I ended up talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, you could go ahead." I think that they had an audition or something, but it was, I mean, they were trying to be very professional, but I mean, we played in holes in the wall, and we had
Right.
like an audience of like maybe like 15 people that would show up, and they were all like
Yeah.
family or friends.
That's still
So
sick though. Just
yeah,
that you even did it.
yeah, it was fun, man. I love performing in front of people. Doing the sketch stuff was a lot of fun, even though it was bizarre to me though, because like I wasn't in a lot of sketches, and I never
Hmm.
felt like I was that funny in them. I was always kind of disappointed
Right.
with like my role and how funny I was in those
Yeah.
sketches. But for some reason, people liked me, and
Yeah.
think I think that it might have been because they were mistaking me for the other fat guy in the group. So,
Well, regardless,
yeah.
take
So,
what you can get.
yeah. I mean, it was nice to have the cheers, so it was good. But
Yeah.
there was some things, some sketches. I mean, those that time will stick with me forever. And some of those sketches I
Yeah.
thought were really hilarious. But it got to a
Yeah.
point where I had a choice to because I was seeing somebody, and the choice was to either, because she didn't approve. So it was either
She didn't like it.
be with her, yeah, because she was going to church, and we were going to church, and they were very offensive, and
Uh-huh.
and the choice was either be in the sketch group or kind of like settle down and start a family,
Right.
and then
Yeah, the timing just wasn't right.
yeah, and I regret choosing the family part. not, not that not that I
These fucking kids,
yeah,
goddamn kids.
it's not the kids. My kids are fine,
No.
and then a lot of people will say like, well, if you didn't get with, if you weren't there, then you wouldn't have had your kids. I would have had a different
Yeah.
version of my kids.
Right, I woulda had kids
Yeah,
regardless.
I probably would have had kids. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, they just would have been different versions of them, and but yeah, I had an opportunity. Like they were gonna end up going to L.A. They didn't make it in LA, but who's to say I couldn't have?
Right.
So it would have been nice, to at least take that chance, to take that opportunity. But I am happy where, of course, I'm happy with where my life is
Right.
now. You
Yeah, you
know,
can't play the coulda, woulda game because
yeah,
then you just fucking that's just
yeah.
depressing, so
Yeah, but I think the only thing to learn though from, or the thing that I've learned from that whole situation is that if you have an opportunity to do something and that you really want it, you should probably try and do it. So,
right.
and that's why I started doing the podcast. It's like I've got the time,
Mhm.
you know, and then I've invested a little bit of money into it, and that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't want to, but you know,
Yeah.
I got frustrated with the quality of it, and even
Yeah.
though it's not like I'm not a professional, I want it to sound good. I didn't want it to sound
Yeah, and
terrible.
if you're putting the time into it, even if it's just an hour a week or whatever, it's like, you might as well get the quality and make it fucking listenable so that
Yeah.
people can hear it because it's like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. I want people to listen. They're not, but I still I still want them to listen, you know? Yeah. And I mean, I know that we met on Reddit. That was cool. I've tried like I think I probably need to put more effort into it. But
Uh,
like I saw you on Reddit. Like, how many people did you actually like end up talking to on Reddit?
Nobody.
Yeah, I know. It's
Literally
weird,
just
right?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dropped a couple of, like, little things on, like, I joined, like, some bartender Reddits or
Hmm.
whatever, and, I joined, like, a Sober October. You know Sober October?
Yeah, yeah.
So I joined a Sober October Reddit, and I threw my podcast in there, like, at the end of one of my little posts, and I was just like, "Oh, yeah, and listen to try out the Bartenders Anonymous podcast."
Yeah.
But it's like, it almost feels awkward to try and, like, push it,
Yeah.
but, I mean, that's the only way you're gonna do it. But
Hmm.
I try and let it come up organically, but, with all my fucking DUI classes and stuff, it's like my head is so focused on just getting that done
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'll keep doing the podcast when I have time, and then, I'll probably put some more energy into it once I'm done with my classes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard to like kind of recommend it to people or to talk to people about it because you don't
Uh-huh.
want to be like that guy who's like, hey, do you like to listen to podcasts? You want to
Yeah,
listen?
it feels stupid, but it's like,
Yeah.
sometimes they pull it out of you. Like, I was talking to my counselor
Hmm.
yesterday, and, we were just talking like this, that, and the other, and, I said something about, like, creativity or whatever, and, like, that I had, like, some projects going, and then, of course, she's like, "Well, you know, what are you doing? Like, what's the side project? Da, da, da," and I was like, I mean, it's kinda personal," and she's like, "Oh, we don't have to talk about it." I was like, "Oh, I'm, like, started a podcast."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, that's really cool, da, da, da." But I don't know. I'm like, I
It,
don't wanna tell I'm not telling my counselor about it.
yeah. Well, and it's hard too because you're like I find for me like the issue that I have is like I kind of because I do the Uber and the Lyft, so I talk to all these people,
Mhm.
and I mean I think it'd be the same thing for you as a bartender. Like you're talking to these
Yeah.
people, and you get to know them a little bit. And
Yeah.
I think though that we kind of will cast judgment on these people and think,
Yeah.
oh, they would never want to listen to the
Right.
podcast, right? And like
Mhm.
I'll talk to these people and I'm thinking there's no way that this guy is at all going to be interested in a podcast about like
Yeah.
conspiracy or aliens.
Right.
And then eventually
Have
they
you
come.
have you ever have you ever brought it up to one?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was this one dude. I got his business card actually, and we
No
started
shit.
talking about aliens. And so I was like, "Yeah, man, here's my my podcast." I don't think he's
Fuck
listened
yeah.
to it, but I do have his
Right.
business card, and I could talk to him about aliens if I want to. So,
Right.
you know, but and then there's some other people I have told, the you want to end up finding out first if they even listen to podcasts. And the strange thing to
Yeah.
me is there are so many podcasts, there are so many people listening to podcasts, but for
Mhm.
some strange reason, I don't end up I don't end up running across these people. Like where the fuck are they? you know?
Dude, for real. I've noticed that too, because 'cause I'm like, I know there everybody listens to podcasts, but apparently not everyone listens to podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I've told, 'cause I have some homies that listen to mine, and then I have other homies that I've mentioned it, like, just in passing, and, like, no response. Like, they
Yeah.
just, like, don't reiterate, they don't ask about it, and they're just like, "Oh, yeah, I don't really listen to podcasts." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What?" I thought
Yeah.
everybody listened to
Yeah.
podcasts.
I for my podcast, I have, and that's what the great thing is with about Anchor is like you can get some pretty good uh you could get some pretty good like what was it, data, right? On who's
Uh-huh.
listening and where and all that stuff. And it looks like I've got about 12 consistent listeners. And
Solid.
that's yeah, and that is not great, right? By any means for
In the grand
in the
scheme of
yes, in
things,
the
but
grand
it is a start.
yes, like I've got, been doing it for a year, and I've got, there's been some hiatuses, but
Yeah.
I've got like almost, I think I got like almost 50 episodes, whatever. But um so 12 people that are listening, that's not very big, but they keep listening, and I fucking love that,
Yeah.
and I know that they're not all my friends because I really don't have that many friends. So, I there's some people from England that are listening, and I thought, oh, it's the guys from the Pooh Finger podcast. Like
Uh-huh.
those guys are cool, and they are cool. But like I talked to them, and they're like, yeah, we're not listening. We haven't had time. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. Then that means somebody else is listening, and they give me shout outs and stuff. They shout out our
Right.
podcast, and um, so
So
it's
you have
like,
random listeners in, like, Europe?
yeah, it was cool. And
How weird.
when we first started though, like somebody popped up in like Tasmania, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
what the fuck? And then
I mean,
somebody popped up in like Texas, but I think that there was a problem. Um, they found out that our podcast is not about horses. So,
oh,
so I feel like that is something that I ran into early on, and that's why I had to add the thing into the intro music.
right.
There's a because there was a horse, and the horse's
Yeah.
name was Hoof Hearted.
Right.
And back in the 80s and early 90s, there was a TV show. It was like sports bloopers. And in fact, I think Mike Golick, I don't know if you know much sports, but Mike Golick was the host and of that show. And he would just show like sports bloopers and stuff. This is before ESPN was a big
Yeah.
thing. And one of the bloopers was a video of this the horse, that horse racing, and the announcer's like, who farted around the bend, and who farted wins,
Right.
who farted. And it was hilarious. I always thought it was hilarious. And I
Right.
actually, my parents had gotten a VHS tape of one of those, sports blooper whatever, and I used to watch it, and I'd show my friends, and they thought it was funny. And a friend of mine, he still uses Hoof Hearted as like his screen name for, I think, his PlayStation.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's out there, yeah. And not everybody gets the joke, and
Right.
that's kind of disappointing. But I also feel like that is a good measuring stick to see who would
Yeah.
actually probably like our show. So,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's like if you can't kinda get the joke right off the bat, then it's like, "Okay, you're probably gonna hate this."
yeah, exactly. So, um, but yeah, that's how it came up, was that it was a sports thing, and I always
Funny.
thought it was funny, and then I thought it would be great to call the podcast that, and everybody I told, they were like, yeah, that's hilarious. I like that. So it had nothing to do with the fact that there was too many, because with the Spotify thing, the Spotify was just the
Yeah.
anchor. And if we go on YouTube, which we haven't yet, I know a lot of people listen on YouTube, so I got to figure out how to do that. But yeah, like I think we would just call ourselves Hoof Hearted Pod or Hoof Hearted
Yeah.
Podcast. I think Mex made a site. I was trying to get him to be in charge of all the social media stuff, but
Yeah.
he's got his own stuff that he's got going on, so it makes it difficult. Like, he's got his work, and his work is always changing, and he's also
Mhm.
selling merch and stuff like that. So it's like I have a little more free time than he does. I just need to figure that shit out. I'm
Right.
still, I still miss MySpace.
Fucking
So,
MySpace.
huh?
Yeah. I said fucking MySpace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my jam. I knew MySpace, but after that, I was like, I feel like I'm left in the. I'm just trying to figure out Instagram, trying to figure, and then Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called. you know?
Yeah. No, because I
Yeah.
have my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram. So Twitter was the only one that I originally had started a Twitter account just as like a burner account to
Hmm.
just like try and go on there and be funny and like obviously nobody liked any of my stuff because I was just like had some fake name. And so when I started the podcast, I was like, oh well, I'll just fucking turn that into the podcast's like kind of social media thing.
Hmm.
But like Twitter is like all celebrities. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of like local people or just like normal. I feel like most people are just Facebook and Instagram. Like nobody's really fucking around on Twitter except for athletes and comedians and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you like you were on Reddit, and we happened to meet on Reddit, and that was great. But it was one person, you know.
right.
And so far, you and the Poofinger guys are the only people that I met like on Reddit that I have actually talked
Yeah.
to for more than like a brief second. And
Hmm.
it's the whole social media thing. It's really hard. Um, it's hard to get noticed. And I have a friend that actually used to run social media platforms, or not platforms, but social media accounts for some businesses. And he said that in the last like 4 or 5 years, the last 4 years, I think, it's pretty much impossible for somebody who's just starting out to
Yeah.
actually get any recognition unless you are willing to pay for it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't really I don't really like I don't think of the social media as a way to like reach out to new listeners.
Yeah.
I feel like social media is more for the listeners who do listen to actually give them an opportunity to reach out to us.
Right. But it's probably more like once you're more established, then it will make more sense.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
like if you have no followers, then you're just drowning in the ocean of fucking social
Yeah.
media. So
Yeah. And then the
that's why like word of mouth comes into play. And
mhm.
then like how you said when you're like, yeah, you just get on somebody's like collaborate and
Mhm.
then, if you can get my 10 listeners and I get your 10 and just kind of build from there,
Yeah.
that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's why I think, and actually I do have some other like I have some appointments to be on some other podcasts, so I'm like totally stoked about
Sick.
that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, and it also gives you an opportunity to talk to other people, and talking to people is what I like to do. So,
Right.
um
Yeah, it's like the whole freaking thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, honestly, like if I went on someone's podcast and they had zero listeners and they were just starting, like I would totally dig that too.
Uh-huh.
So it's just fun to talk to people, meet new
Yeah.
people, see how they
I'm
click.
actually I'm almost surprised at how many like is on that podcast Reddit or whatever,
Hmm.
and there'll be a thing that's like, this is the weekly podcast drop, like everybody post your podcast,
Yeah,
and it's like da 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 da. And I clicked on a couple of them in the past couple days just to like see what people's podcasts were, and it's like some boring ass shit. Some of them are like I'm a fucking archaeologist or something,
yeah,
or there's like literally a podcast for everything.
yeah,
But it's funny to go on and like see, well, how many listens does this guy have, or how many listens does this person have?
yeah, yeah. I like I would probably listen to an archaeologist
Yeah,
one. I like the boring shit. But
yeah,
but yeah, it's just it is there is a podcast for everything, and that's the one thing. Like, I think it's great that yours is short form because, I mean, this episode's not, but
well, yeah,
yeah,
doing something different.
yeah. But I think it's great that yours is short because people can just like pop it on for a minute, like on the drive or whatever. And I mean,
Hmm.
that's what I was doing. It actually worked out perfect because usually I'll have about 15 minutes or 20
Right,
minutes
you can kinda
between,
knock it out.
yeah, between my rides. So I was able to listen to your podcast while I was in between rides. And
Dude, that's so fucking sick.
yeah, so it was great,
I
dude.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. So, you keep your normal podcast down to 20 minutes, and that's
Yeah.
perfect. There's one that I listen to. It's Notorious Bakersfield. Um,
Mhm.
and Bakersfield's where I'm from. That's where I
Word.
live. Yeah. So it's a cool podcast. Like, even if you're not from here, like, just it's a cool podcast. But his are 15, 20 minutes. And I actually did an interview with him, and and he said that the reason why he wanted to keep that was because when he was doing his research, he said the average people, like the average person, listens to the radio for 15 to 20 minutes, which is usually like their commute
Oh,
time. So and then he also figured out that Tuesdays are the days to release the podcasts. Like, that's when you're going to get your most hits. So he did all sorts of research.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So where me, I'm just like, like today I was
When it
supposed to
yeah,
release something, but I'm like, I don't have time for it. I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. So cuz
right,
we
in
just,
due time.
yeah, we just record, and I know you're going through that kind of shit right now too,
Trying to figure out a schedule, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, you've got you got the your girl or ex or whatever, she's moving out. So it's like life is hectic, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a shit
so
show.
yeah, but that's why I try to always, that's why I appreciate who listens, and that's why I'm like, and
Mhm.
I try to explain to them like, I appreciate you listening, thank you, and I'm so sorry that I'm not consistent, but this is a hobby,
Right.
and
Yeah,
life
and
life gets in the way.
maybe someday it'll be fucking yeah, Tuesday it's going up at midnight or
Yeah,
whenever, and but whatever, like, when you're a year in, it's like sometimes these podcasts go 7 years
yep,
that don't do anything, and then
yep.
all of a sudden they just pop,
Well,
so
I think everybody wants to, like, everybody thinks of Rogan, right? When you first think of
mhm.
podcasting. And I think the one thing that people don't understand is Rogan was doing it for a long time. He was, I mean,
Yeah.
he was doing the podcast for a long time before it became what it is today.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, uh if you look back like 5 years ago, it's so different than, because he used to do a lot more like conspiracy theory,
Uh-huh.
and now he's gotten more into, I mean, still some of the stuff is maybe like pseudoscience, or some stuff that might be like kind of conspiracy, but I mean, he's way more serious now. He'll have
Yeah.
politicians on his show, and but I mean, I think the one thing I know everybody wants to, I think everybody thinks that at some point in time they're going to be Rogan, and they're not. They probably won't.
Right.
Nobody's going to
Nobody
be
will
that.
be Rogan,
Yeah,
that's
but I think that that's something that we should like aspire to be. To be.
yeah, it's a good guy to, like, try to replicate, but it's like you're not gonna, like, do what he does. That
No.
dude's a fucking anomaly,
Yeah.
but, yeah, you go back to the old Red Band days or
Hmm.
whatever and the Fleshlight and all that shit.
Yeah,
It
that's
that shit
right.
was
Yeah.
it was a shit show. Like,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I went back to, like, his old episodes,
Uh huh.
and, like, the audio's all fucked up,
Hmm.
and, like, they're just ranting, and he's stoned and just talking about fucking nothing, and
Yeah.
it's funny to, like, go back and listen to it because it's like, yeah, he was just a freaking stoner fucking
Hmm.
talking to his buddy, just ranting about shit,
Yeah.
and now he's a $100 million dude with his freaking camp in Texas,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is sick as fuck.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that we should all. I mean, as podcasters starting out, expect. What, I mean, this is kind of how my life. I kind of like live my life, anyways. Uh, like, expect the worst, but hope for the
Mhm.
best.
Right.
So, um, and I know some people might think that that's like a shitty kind of way to think, but it
Eh,
just, I don't know, it just kind of keeps you prepared and grounded. But at the same
yeah,
time, like it for me, like, I still don't stop dreaming. So,
yeah,
do I want to be as big as Rogan? No, I don't, because honestly, like, I feel like he still has to kind of, I mean, he answers to people. I think one of the benefits of being small is like we could say stupid shit and
Right.
and it's okay. Um, you know, like at some point, I mean, I guess the goal is to at some point be big enough to where they're gonna look back on your catalog and try to cancel you. Like
Dude,
like
wouldn't that be just the greatest?
yeah, like they did with Shane, man. Shane Gillis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's like, and then the thing that's funny to me is I think that he's bigger now than he would have been if he was on SNL.
Because of that. Yeah, they
Yeah.
fucking hooked him up.
Yeah. They helped him out. Cause
Yeah.
he and the thing is like he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed his like his the way he is and who he is. Like he's
Yeah.
stayed the same. I think that's what
Dude, no,
we
I've
yeah.
I've thought about that only in, like, small moments, like, um, there's, like, a guy I was calling the dumb guy at work,
Yeah, I remember you talking
and I
about
was
him.
and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's fucking the dumb guy at work, and everybody fucking he annoys everybody and this and that," and then, like, as I got to know him more, I was like, "Well, he's alright, he's just kinda fucking kinda weird or whatever." And then I look back on it and I'm like, "Yeah, I was calling him the dumb guy at work." Like, if he's never gonna listen to my podcast, but I just the thought crossed my mind of, like, what if he listened to this and he's like, "Hey, I'm the dumb guy from work. That makes me feel bad." And, like,
Yeah.
it was the first time I ever, like, thought about it, where it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm saying something about people that
Mm-hmm.
are humans."
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was talking about earlier about self censoring. Because like
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed that I was doing that a lot, like in the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then I just decided that you know what, I can say retarded every once in a while, so
Oh, yeah,
it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, that's definitely crossed my mind too, where I'm like, "Try not to say retarded," and then I'm like, "Man, this shit's fucking retarded," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't help it, man. I was a teenager in the '90s. That's how we talked.
Yeah.
So I mean, dude,
How
like,
how old is Mex?
Mex is in his 20s. Like I think he's 28.
Yeah,
We talked
because like
about
when
it.
sometimes when I'm listening to your podcast and like you'll say something, because I'm 32, so I'm
Mhm.
like I'm just a little bit older than him, and
Yeah.
so you'll say a reference where he doesn't know what you're talking about, and I'm like, I'm old, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, but not that old. Yeah. I mean, he knows a lot of stuff though, because like him and his dad are pretty tight.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, there's a lot of things like because his dad's just really, I think his dad's just a little bit older than I am. I think his dad's like 50, somewhere
Yeah.
around that, and yeah, it's got yeah, I think he's around that age. So, and I'm 44. So,
Yeah.
I think the only people that I really can't relate to are like teenagers nowadays. So like my
Mhm.
kids, like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like that. I'm like that is not rap music. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
no, sometimes there'll be, like, some early 20-year-olds, like, early to mid 20-year-olds at the bar, and I'll just hear them talking, and I'm just like, "Ugh, you're
Yeah.
fucking retarded."
Yeah. Exactly, dude. Like I know that you said you're 32, right?
Uh,
Okay, so you probably don't feel that old right now, but there will be a day when you're going to be listening to the radio or something will come up on like
yeah.
Spotify or whatever, and then they're going to be like it's going to be like your classic rock channel, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
they're going to play something and you're like My Chemical Romance, and you're like, what
Uh-huh.
the fuck?
Dude,
No.
so I've actually legit experienced this already because I
Okay.
listened to, 106.3 KUF or whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah.
and, it was my dad's channel, and so I always just listened to it
Hmm.
vicariously, and, they were like, "Fucking classic rock, da da da," and then they played a Linkin Park song.
Oh, dude, are you serious? Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was like, "No fucking way.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, no."
Yeah, dude, I'm classic rock now. No, I don't want to be classic rock.
Oh, yeah, and I'm just kinda crossing over, like, I
Yeah.
know I'm still younger, but I'm in the midst of it where I'm experiencing it right now, and
Yeah.
it is fucking annoying at times.
Yeah. Like I remember my life changed as soon as I was like, it was like the classic rock channel was like up next, Metallica. And I was like, what?
That's kind of the milestone.
Yeah. And I was like, and then the next song was like Nirvana. I was like, this isn't classic. This isn't classic. This is my high school.
Yeah. They're
So
like, "Nah, nah, homie, it's classic now."
yeah. But the nail in the coffin was I was listening to the radio and I know, which I know is weird anyways, because like
Eh,
who listens to the radio? But
it's a bit of a lost art, yeah.
yeah, but I mean every once in a while, like if I'm driving and I don't feel like hooking up my phone to
Mhm.
the to the thing, or Wi-Fi's down or whatever, or the
Yeah.
Bluetooth's not working right. Um, so I'll have the radio, and it's a your oldies station, and then they started playing Mariah Carey, and I think it was
What the fuck?
Honey, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, dude! I can't believe this. Like that made me feel really old because they called it oldies, and
Oldies. Not even just
oldies,
classic, but oldies.
yeah, oldies. And then but I started to think about it, and as a kid in the '80s, my parents used to play music from when they were kids, and those were
Mhm.
called oldies. Well, in the
Right.
'80s, that was like 30 years ago was the
Right.
'50s. So now we're in the 2020s. Well, 30 years
Yeah.
ago was the '90s. So same time frame, same time difference. So yeah, Mariah
Oh,
Carey's oldies, and it really bothers me.
yeah, that's rough to think about, dude, but
Yeah,
that's the direction. That's how it goes. It only
yeah,
goes this way.
yeah. Well, like when kids are like, "Yeah, man, I listen to old school hip hop, like Biggie and Tupac," and I'm like, "No,
Mhm.
dude, I go back further than that, like I listen to Run
Right.
DMC, and I listen to so I'm one of them old heads,
Yeah.
so I don't know what you listen to, but probably Biggie and Tupac. But did you even listen
I
to
mean,
rap or no?
I so when I was in high school, it was a lot of like metal, punk rock kind of
Okay.
stuff. So I listened to like Slipknot and System of a Down. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of early 2000s stuff.
Yeah.
And then like Blink 182 and Sum 41, and that was kind of my punk stuff. But then I started getting into rap, and then I remember a kid in high school. He gave me a burn CD of Tech Nine,
Oh,
and so
okay.
that kind of got me into rap. And
Yeah.
so I've always that's why I kind of like always dabbled with the hip. But even like hip hop annoys me because I'll put on a hip hop station, and then it's more heavy with like doing it music, just
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
just R&B kind of stuff. And I'm like, to me this isn't hip hop. I'd rather listen to Tupac or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
You said you listen to like Slipknot and stuff like that.
mhm.
Do you happen to know? See, well, how old were you in like mm,
So
early 2000? I mean,
I graduated 2009.
okay, so 2009. So yeah, so did you remember a band? They weren't huge, but they were like tight with like Corn. Um, the band's called Video Drone.
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, all right then. I was just curious. You know who Corn is, right?
I know Corn,
Okay,
yeah.
Corn. Yeah. All right. Because I
Video drone?
Video Drone. Yeah. The reason why I ask is because you said that you were on the serial killer episode,
Hmm.
and then the next one up is actually one with a friend of mine. His name's Rowan,
Yeah.
and he was in the band Video Drone, and they used to tour
Oh, no shit.
with Korn and like Rob Zombie and all those bands, the new metal stuff. So
Sick.
yeah, so you might actually like that that episode.
Yeah, I'll look
Yeah,
forward to that one.
yeah, it's fun. That one was funny. Yeah, he's a hoot, and
That's cool that you've gotten like multiple guests onto your show.
yeah, yeah,
Like I almost feel like you would get more listeners just from like if that guy was like, "Oh yeah, I was on his podcast."
yeah. You
Like you notice like any kind of bump from that or what?
not at all, not at all,
Not
not at all. Yeah.
he probably never even told anyone.
Yeah, I don't think he did, but he may have. But again, it's like the same thing. Like uh, he probably doesn't know anybody that listens to podcasts. So
So
and
freaking weird. How do you fucking market your podcast? It's you have to
yeah,
do it like word of mouth.
yeah. I mean, that's the way I feel. Like word of mouth or advertise. So
Yeah.
something that me and Mex were thinking about doing is getting some business cards with the QR code to our Spotify. And passing it out to people. Like I would give it to people
Hmm.
that I give a ride in the Uber and the Lyft
Right.
and
Just
then
because that's like it makes it legit, like just having it on a card.
yeah. So and and I thought about stickers, but I feel like stickers would kind of just like posting them up on things. I feel like they would just kind of get lost in the you know
Yeah.
the bunch of stickers. And then I did actually think about like, I wonder how much it would cost to buy a billboard, you know, and then
Oh my god, that would be fucking sick though.
yeah, it would be pretty sick. So one of these days, I feel like I might end up doing that. Like it'd be pretty dope to just like see my our little logo up there on the
Uh-huh.
billboard and be like, dude, that's us, dude. That's fucking us.
Right?
So
I mean,
yeah,
we are grown-ups and we can save our money for whatever we want to do, so it's like something
yeah.
to look into.
Well, yeah, but I also have to answer to somebody else. So
Yeah, yours is a little more complicated, but you
I
could
have a wife, so I've got to answer. So I spend a bunch of money. I got to answer to her. So
yeah. You're like, "Can I just start a little piggy bank just for the billboard fund?"
yeah, exactly. And she'd be like, "You doing that gay shit again?" I'll say yes, yes,
Ugh.
yeah. But yeah. I mean, it'd be cool. It is really hard, and I'm a firm believer in word of mouth.
Mhm.
Like I feel like that's how businesses have always thrived. That's how they've sustained business is word of mouth because I think that you end up to me I feel like you end up you develop like more loyal customers that way.
Right, because they gotta really like it.
Yeah, because like they heard about it and then they're like, from a friend that they trust and
Mhm.
then they go, they like it or they don't. If they do like it, then they'll come back for more.
Right, but they
And
just putting in the effort to, like, to remember it, look it
yeah,
up, write it down or whatever,
yeah.
so
And I feel like when it's an advertising type thing, um, it's like the same thing with like people who've gone viral.
mhm.
Like they're just like they're they get their one little 15 they get their 15 minutes of fame and then they're done. And
Yeah.
they don't have sustainability, and I think the word of mouth is better. So
Right.
I feel like to get sustainability, that's the way to go. So
Agreed.
yeah,
But I like this. This is a good start for sure.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, and I mean, I like talking to you, dude. Like, I mean, it's I'm like like you said, you were stoked. I'm totally stoked, man. New
Yeah,
people,
I think it's fucking sick. So what
yeah,
other podcasts have you, kinda collabed with? You just the Pooh Finger?
yeah. Those are the only ones that I've collabed with. That we actually like. We had a little. We called it the Pooh Hearted, podcast. So it
Oh,
was
that's
a
clever.
little crossover.
Uh-huh.
The quality wasn't great because we were doing it over Discord and we had the video going and also too like it was across the ocean. So
Mhm.
it wasn't the greatest quality, but it was a good episode um and that's the only one that I've actually collaborated with other than you.
Word.
And but I did have a few interviews. Like I had my cousin um
Mhm.
and then which wasn't really an interview, it was more of like you know uh just talking to your
Right, but
cousin.
just getting just fresh blood in there is just good
Yeah,
to have.
yeah. And then there's Rowan, and he got to hop on and tell his story, and we did interview him. And then I interviewed the guy from Notorious Bakersfield, and his name is Robert. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool because I was a big fan of his podcast. So
Mhm.
that was fun. And then I did do an interview recently of a guy. His name is New York Patriot, and he's on Instagram. And but I listened to his podcast, and his podcast is the Occult Rejects,
Hmm.
and he was in. I mean, you can listen to the podcast. Eventually, you'll get there, I'm sure. But he was
Yeah.
in he was in like a secret society where they did like a lot of like rituals and like secret
Oh,
handshakes and
weird.
shit like that. So he's really into like the occult, and so I liked his show, and I figured I would wait a little bit and kind of get used to this whole podcasting thing, and asked him if
Mhm.
he wanted to be on, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, man." He's like, "You've been listening to me
Fuck
since the
yeah.
beginning, so there's no way I'm going to say no to you." So I was like, "Sweet." So I got to talk to him, and that was a lot of fun. That was really cool.
That's
So
sick. Yeah,
yeah,
this is very inspiring to me. Just that it's like that it is possible to get some like-minded people and
yeah,
collaborate and
it never hurts to
just get
ask.
right for sure.
Yeah. So I do have some other podcasts I'm trying to get onto. One's going to be like I actually have a date set, so hopefully it doesn't get changed. But it's an
Mhm.
astrology podcast. So
Interesting.
yeah, I don't even believe in astrology, so this will be super fun. Um,
Right, you can play devil's advocate and be like, yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
yeah, yeah, um, but there's I don't know if you saw it, but on Reddit they actually have a subreddit where you can request guests.
Oh. I've seen some things where somebody was looking for a co-host or something or whatever, but I haven't. I'm still kind of new to Reddit, so I'm kind of
Yeah,
pardon me.
yeah,
I
no,
need to
of
fuck around
course.
on there a little bit more, do
Yeah,
some exploration.
let me try to find it, so then that way you can go on there, and like if you ever want to be on somebody's like podcast
Mm.
or have somebody on yours, like it'll work, dude.
Yeah, for sure. And this is
Mm,
also good practice for me because this is my first podcast with another human that's actually going to go out. So I'm like, I needed the reps.
yeah, well, and honestly, like I'm kind of long-winded, so I
Oh
may
yeah,
not be
no,
the
it's all good.
sometimes I've seen other people like other podcasts or listen to them, and it's like you got to pull
Mm.
teeth. And I that was the comment that I was getting about the podcast I did with my cousin.
Mhm.
Some people were saying like, "Oh, it's kind of hard to get him to talk,"
Right.
and then the same thing with the one that I did with Bakersfield, the notorious Bakersfield Robert. They're saying,
Right.
"Oh, it felt like you were really having to try to, draw stuff
Yeah,
out of
not
him." But
not everyone fucking just opens up but not everybody talks to people for a living, and so it's not always going to be as flowy, but I feel like when you're talking to another podcaster, it probably does get easier
oh
just
yeah,
getting the reps in and just because it's like a fucking muscle. It's like anything else, just
hmm,
getting better at it.
yeah. The podcast guest exchange. That's the Reddit that you might want to
Okay, sick.
write that down. So then that way you can find guests and stuff. I haven't done it enough, and I definitely should because I want to get going with all that. That'd be a lot of fun. And I'd like to have you. I'd like to do this again. This would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. We could definitely do another episode down the road.
Yeah,
So we'll get this all mixed down and stuff, and
yeah.
you put it up, I'll put it up, whatever you want to do.
Oh,
Are you gonna put it? Are you,
I'll put it up on mine for sure as like a special episode. And then
okay?
but you definitely put it up on yours too. So
Yeah,
usually
I'm going. Out.
whenever people end up having like a collab, they usually both end up throwing it up there. So
Dope.
but I'll let you edit this however you want, and then I guess I can edit it however I want, so they can get two different versions of it if they listen to
Okay.
both of them. So
Yeah, I'll probably just do a dumb little intro and then just let the fucker play.
yep. Oh, okay. All right then. Sounds good.
Yeah, they can get the full experience.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you have any other like questions for me or anything?
I'm pretty content with this. Also,
All
I have
right.
to piss like a
Oh
racehorse.
yeah, yeah. I
So I
got you.
say we wrap it up, and we could definitely do a round two someday for sure. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm totally down for that. So yeah. All right, man. You go take a piss.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Take a
It's
piss.
so awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. It was great hooking up with you, and we'll definitely do it again, man. I'll keep in touch
For
on
sure.
Discord with you, dude. Oh, and then
Okay,
also
sounds
too,
good.
like if you want, you can hit me up on Instagram.
Okay.
It's Doc Farted on Instagram.
Doc fart.
Yep, Doc Farted. Or you could do the Hoof Hearted Hoof Hearted podcast on Instagram. And then, oh, also, I have a phone number. The phone number is 661-379-0020. You could text me on that. That's for the show actually. So
Say it one more time. 661, or what'd you say?
yeah, 661-379-0020. And you can actually you can call and leave a message, but you can also text. So if you
Okay, sick.
yeah. So if you got some crazy story that you want us to read on the podcast, we could do that too. So
Yeah, for sure. If something
yeah,
weird happens, I'll fucking throw it in my notes.
definitely. And I'll start plugging you too, man. So our
All right.
listeners will be acquainted with you.
Nice. Dope. I'm stoked about all this, dude.
Yes.
Just send me the shit whenever. So what I'll send you my email address
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, do that. Do that.
Okay, I'll message you with my email address.
All right, cool. Sounds good, man. All right.
All right, bro.
All right, dude. Later.
Later.